everybody, it's Pete here with the Positive Vibe Show from Project Positive Change. I'm here with one of my friends that I've known for quite a while. We've known each other so long, really, not like a long, long time, but long enough to where we've really seen a progression in each other. And I've seen such a huge, amazing change in Kenya. Kenya Halliburton here is with us. She's one of our visionaries with Project Positive Change. And we're going to kind of do a kind of interesting show today. We're not only going to talk about a program that she actually has running right now in beta form, but we're also going to talk about the intentionality of also calling it forth. So Kenya, how are you doing today?
I'm excited to be here, and I'm great to be with you, Pete, as always.
I love it. And I have seen such a change in you, Kenya. And I mean, there's just such a more of a contentment and a joy, and just it almost feels like you think you're in the flow right now. Is that the way it feels for you?
Definitely in the flow. Definitely feel freer, which is really important to me. I've let go of a lot of ick, you know. um, just let go a lot of negativity, and it feels really free. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your program. It's content, clients, and cash flow, right?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. And what's it really about? What does it help? What's the perfect client for that? And what could they expect as an outcome?
Yeah, so I work with women entrepreneurs, essentially to create strategies in their business, implement those strategies so that they can earn the money that they want and deserve. And so the program is pretty interesting. The way that I set up the program, it's a personal development and online business development program. And it really is designed to help you create an online business, or the elements of your online business, so you can set your business up to run with or without you. And so the premise is, as a woman, as a mom of 3 boys, who's experienced a lot of life, I've noticed in this walk and in this journey that a lot of women have life happening. Well, all of us, whether you're a man or a woman, have a lot of life happening. And sometimes life can get in the way of your best intentions to do what you want and need to do to build your business in the way that you want. And so I found that it was really important, because I know for me, what was happening in my head and in my heart was getting in the way of me being able to execute the ideas, execute the things that I knew that I need to do, to actually learn the things that I knew that I didn't know to build my business. And so through several years of kind of trial and error and, blood, sweat, and tears, well, maybe not blood, but sweat and tears, just developing a system based on proven methods and principles that are designed to help you build that foundation that you need to be able to build your business, so that it doesn't become a job, but it actually becomes a dream that you ultimately wanted it to be. So,
Do you think a lot of people almost sort of grab on to distractions as almost like an excuse not to get themselves out there, not to build their business?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know sometimes even the trauma and drama of your life can be a convenient excuse as to why you're not stepping out. I know for me, I went through a divorce, and, my marriage was really kind of stressful and unstable. And when I was in that environment, I didn't realize that maybe not all of it, but some of it was me holding on to the chaos of it, because it was a convenient excuse to say, well, I have this going on, so I can't really commit to this. I can't really make it happen because this person or this thing or these events are happening. And so what I realized is, when I got out of that situation, there was no more excuse, right? That thread or that drama had been removed. And then I was just faced with me. And I found myself looking for chaos. Like, I found myself looking for, some drama, so I could be like, oh, my life is still so crazy. I can't get that site up. I can't launch that program. I can't, do the things that are necessary, because I was really afraid of that. And so once I confronted that, since I've confronted that, I've been able to kind of break through some really important barriers. So yeah, we definitely have to be honest with ourselves to discover whether or not we're using the chaos of our life as a convenient excuse as to why, or the distractions in our life as a convenient excuse as to why we're not doing the things necessary to build the dream that we dreamed.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people, especially probably women, because the women have bought into this whole "I'm not techie" thing, and everybody thinks that business has to be so techie. So they almost have like this blueprint or this framework of what their business has to be like. But I find that the most successful people are, and this is starting to happen for me, where I'm building my business more for my own joy and my own pleasure than really anything else, and that engine of that is pulling me through
Yeah.
how to learn how to build websites and whatever other kind of crazy stuff you have to do. Is that what you're finding as well?
Yeah, it all goes back to your why.
Mm.
It all starts there. It starts with what you want. And even in the program, we build on that. Like, that's one of the first things we tackle. Like, what do you want first? And really kind of feel that, live in that, honor that. Because if you build something outside of that, then it becomes a job. It becomes this like big, mammoth of a thing that, you really don't enjoy. And a lot of times we create a prison for ourselves, right? And so that very dream and that very thing that, that fuels us actually becomes a burden and a prison. And so I do think, and I do see that a lot of times we reach for the shiny things and the techie things, and then when we can't master those things, we say, oh well, I'm not great at that. And as a visionary or as a business owner, we're going to stick with visionary because I think that's really what we are. You don't actually have to do those things. I mean, initially you have to, but I feel like you need to know enough to be dangerous. You
Mm.
don't, there's ways around it. So I think like what you said, what you did is important because it has you focusing on the importance of your why versus like, all of the other things that can kind of cloud that vision and kind of sabotage what exactly it is that you actually want to put out there into the world.
I love it. I love it. And I've heard a quote recently. I can't remember who it was from, but he was talking about if you can't be better than somebody else, just be different.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm. I love that. I was watching something from Simon Sinek, and he was talking about something similar. He was talking about how he was talking about the difference between Microsoft and Apple, and how Microsoft, when he was attending their meetings, and all of their meetings was about how to beat Apple, how to beat them at their game. And Apple, their perspective in their meetings was how can we be better? How can we create better products? How their competition was themselves, whereas Microsoft was, competing against Apple and everyone else out there. And the difference is massive because, Apple's motto is think differently, right?
Mm.
And so I think that is really important. I know when I first started my business, I was very green and I didn't have all the rules and the stuff that we get bombarded with. And so I was very just like, oh, I want to create this, and oh, this would be fun, and oh, that's cool. And I wasn't thinking about like, oh my goodness, that person has a great website. My website is not that great, or that person is doing something similar. So it was really like a pure place. And I didn't have the fear. It's just that sometimes when we start getting that advice and, we see what other people are doing and we lose sight of what we want and who we are, then we kind of get lost in it. So I think that that's a really important perspective to focus on, is to focus on you and how you can be a better you and how you can be the best you that you can be, because that really is what attracts people to you.
I love that. And so what is, I know you have people coming to you saying, I want to do this, but I mean, they're all excited about it, but then they throw up all these things. What are the things that they throw up in front of themselves that you help them with?
One of the things that they throw up is what you mentioned, like, I want to do this, but I'm just not techie. you know. Another thing that I get a lot is I want to do this, but I'm afraid. And that fear comes out in different ways, you know. It may not just be I'm afraid, but that's the bottom line of it. Like they're afraid that they can't make their business they can't themselves become the money. They can't themselves become the source of their income.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I get is I want to do this. I really want to do this, but I'm so overwhelmed. Like I don't know what to do next. Like I don't even know what to do first. So usually it's some combination of fear and overwhelm and anxiety about how to do what they need to do, stepping into getting their business out there, and the fear and uncertainty around it.
Do any of them have that sort of thing that you fall into where you're like, but why me? Or what gives me the right or the authority to be the person who teaches this or shows this?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a really big one. And a lot of times it manifests in terms of, well, there are other people doing what I do that are much bigger, they're more established. Why would anybody pay attention to little old me? You know? And what I always say to my clients, because this was a huge revelation for me, that we are divinely wired. There are people out there that are divinely wired to tune into us. And I think we talked about this the other day. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're Oprah, whether you're Tony Robbins, whether you're Ellen DeGeneres. Even if those people are doing something similar to you and you feel like, oh, they're so much bigger, like, why would anybody listen to me? They have Oprah, they have these other people. There are people that are not wired to hear from them. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter how great or how profound, they're not wired to hear from them. They're wired to hear from you. And so you're kind of doing a disservice. You are doing a disservice when you don't show up, because there are people that can't step into their greatness until you step into yours, right? And so that's like the big perspective that I try to get my, people that express that fear to get, is that there are people. I know for me, like I started this and I did not like the sound of my own voice. I did not see myself as a speaker. I saw myself as more behind the scenes gal. I didn't have a lot of confidence or anything like that. And I didn't think that I had anything to say. I didn't think that anybody would listen to me. And I have such a laid back personality, and I'm more laid back. There are people that are more energetic than me and all of that. And I just didn't think that anybody would hear from me or attract to me, because I'm like, you're dull. Nobody's gonna, that was the stuff that was going through my head. But what I realized is the more that I owned who I was, the more that I became comfortable with who I am, the more people just naturally attracted to me. It was like I became a magnet, and I don't even have to try hard. I was at an event the other day, non-related to business. It was a kids speaking conference. And before I left there, I got 2 potential clients. And it was just me being me, and that attracted that. So I encourage people in the program to be more of you. And that's why we always start with what we want. We don't start with the marketing stuff. We kind of build layer upon layer, because a lot of this is about confidence and honoring who you are and your value and who God made you to be. And so if you get away from that and you try to build from the outside in, then you're always going to take 2 steps forward and 1,000 steps back. And it's going to be a very frustrating experience. So
now, what does somebody have to have in place, or, should they, to really get started? Just a theme, or?
In terms of starting their business, or in terms of the program?
Either one. Yeah, the program, really.
Really, you just have to have, number one, a strong commitment to helping people with whatever it is that you do. That's number one. And number two, you have to be sick and tired of doing the same thing and expecting a different result and not getting it. You just have to be over yourself. And, if you're not at that point, if you still feel like, you're going to kind of keep going around and around in circles, then you're not ready. But usually people that come to the program are like, look, I've tried this, I've tried that. Or I don't want to do all of that. I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste money. And I want to do this the right way. So you really have to be committed to wanting to build a business that's, that can be a legacy for your family. That maybe you can sell one day. You really just have to be committed to you is really what it is. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Now, so is yours like a all online? Is it in person? How does it work?
Yeah, it is online. If you're local, we're in Huntsville, Alabama. So if you're local, I meet with people in person here. But typically the way that it works, there's two levels. There's a group version where, you can come in and we meet bi-weekly. There are 7 modules in the program. And so you can go through the content, video content, get the lessons, and then come mastermind with us bi-weekly to kind of work through the material. And then if you want more intricate support, you can work with me one-on-one. Also within the program, because a lot of times when you're building out your plan and you know what to do, getting it done is the next challenge. And so I provide virtual assistance in getting the things done. So if you need, we go over it all. We go over it all, websites, social media marketing, building out your message, the technology and the systems that you need to run your business. We do all of that. We teach you how to do all of that. But then if you need help getting that done, you need the resources getting that done, you have access to that in the program. Only program participants get access to the implementation support. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, who I'm going to get to do my website? Who am I going to get to help me, get this email out or whatever. We take care of that for you. But the most important thing is this part right here. And I think that's the biggest benefit is to help people break through those barriers and not get so overwhelmed by the bigness of everything that you have to do, but building up on it brick by brick. Right. So yeah.
I love that. The idea of it takes 1,000 steps, right? And I love that your program has 7 steps, because 7 is the number of completion. So we
yes!
both, yeah, no, I absolutely adore that. So
yes,
that's amazing. And kind of walking behind the box. I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
I would say kind of walking behind the box a little bit. You told me this was in beta and you weren't really quite ready to shout it out. I said, well, let's go ahead and just shout this out and really talk about intention and calling forth. And so what do you see, and talk about maybe a little bit about yourself and calling this forth, and let's give you some energy to you. So this gets like poof, right?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. I've always been an implementer, which means that, I've always helped people get things done behind the scenes. And it's very fulfilling to me to be somebody that helps people manufacture their dreams. But the problem with that practically is when you're implementing, you're helping people actually set things up. There's a cap in how much you can make. And I kept bumping up against that cap. And I had to expand in order to live the life that I envisioned for myself, to be the blessing for my kids, to be the blessing for other people around me. I needed to generate more income. I wanted to generate more income. And I couldn't do it with the framework that I was doing. And so one of the things that I had to do going into this year was say no to a lot of the easy money, right? The easy money for me was, there's a lot of people that need stuff done, and it's very easy to find them, and it's very easy for them to find me. And I would naturally gravitate towards things like that because it was just easy money. But what ended up happening is it became a trap. It became a prison for me. So I was doing what I loved, but I wasn't enjoying it because it was like, you know, I'm doing something for you, Pete, and you're paying, you know, a set amount, and then somebody else is paying a set amount, but I still need money to pay other things. And so I'm constantly generating business, but I still have to execute what I've already booked. And so I decided enough of that. I'm letting go of this anxiety and this fear of not having enough. And I set the intention that I'm going to build my business in the same way that I teach my, you know, stand in integrity and do things the same way that I'm teaching my students. And set the intent to actually just do this. Just be a teacher, be a consultant, be a CEO, be a mogul. And I set the intention that I'm going to triple my income in the next 60 days. So on paper, that's like that just freaks me out, you know, to say, but it kind of goes back to what I said about being over yourself, like being just over it. You know, I set the intention that, you know, I want to be in a different place next year. And the only way to do that is to do something different. I already know what it is to do things the way that I've been doing. I know what result that gets me. And so to be intentional and purposeful and saying, you know what, I'm going to play a bigger game. I'm going to value myself in a way that I never have before. I'm going to set the stakes high and go after it. And so it's a really scary, I call it a terribly wonderful journey. Right? So setting the intention to be more, because that's first, right? Like be more so you can have more. Like that's where I am, because I feel like all of us deserve that. All of us deserve to have more, but I think the challenge is we don't accept that we need to be more in order for that to happen.
Like Marianne Williams says, we're scared of our own brilliance, scared of our own light.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes, it's so true. It's so true. So you know, yeah, that's where I am, and it's a very different approach than what I've been used to.
I love that. So I've got some ideas we're going to talk about after the show. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about before we go today?
No, I want everybody, I guess I would leave with this. Go after what you want, like relentlessly. And number one, the first thing to do is to know what you want. What do you want your life and business to look like? How do you want your life to not only impact others, but how do you want it to impact you? What do you want it to do for your life? And focus on that more than you focus on the fear.
I love that. Well, this has been the Positive Vibe Show with Pete Cosby with my good friend Kenya Halliburton, talking about her program, content, client, and cash flow. I'm so excited. And we'll have the links in the show about how you can get in contact with her to go ahead and join this right here. I'm so excited, and we will talk to y'all soon.